All right, number 2 says to find sine theta. So we have a triangle, and this is 5, this is theta, this is 13, and this is 12. So sine is, how do you find sine? Nope. It's a right triangle, SOHCAHTOA. Can't forget that. So it's sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So since this is my theta, I have opposite and hypotenuse. So sine of theta is equal to opposite, which is 5, over 13. So in my calculator, I just put 5 divided by 13. Yeah, you could. The question was, could you leave it in a fraction? And the answer is yes. But I don't know what they have in the answer key. They've just divided it out. So sine theta is 0.385. Number 2. Any other questions from last night? Yep. Number 3. If tan of theta is equal to 1 and it's between 0 and 90, what is theta? So it's really asking you to find theta in the first quadrant. So how do I solve for theta? Tan inverse. So I take tan inverse. So I take tan inverse of 1.
Where do you want me to?
Oh, yep, at that table. So tan inverse of 1, and it's 45. Any other numbers?
7.
Number 4 and then 12.
Okay, and I also have 7. All right. Number 7. Number 7 says we have cosine of 57 is equal to cosine of x. So what other value is x? And it can be anywhere from 0 to 360. So cosine of 57, is cosine of 57 positive or negative? It's positive. So it's positive. So since cosine of 57 is positive, and we found it in this quadrant, where else is cosine positive? Cosine is my x or y? X. So if it's my x, it's also my fourth quadrant. So how do I find the angle in this fourth quadrant? 360 minus theta. So I go 360 minus my 57 gives you 303. You can always check it, put in your calculator cosine 57 and then cosine 303, and you should get the answer. But that is the right answer. You should get the same number. Biggest thing is to know where cosine is positive, and cosine's positive there and there. What was the next number?
4.
4? 4 was the next number? You have the image 1, 0. If this is my point 1, 0, I'm rotating it 120. So if I rotate this point 120, I get it over here. This my new point. And remember, we're always talking about the unit circle. What does this point represent? What is my x of that point? Cosine theta. Sine theta is my y. What was my rotation? How much did I rotate it? What did it say to rotate? It said to rotate 112. So if it says to rotate 112, that means that cosine of 120, sine 120. And your calculators, you can put cosine of 120, so we know A is right. B says, so if you do cosine of 120, you get negative 0.5 in your calculator. If you do sine of 120, you get your 0.866, so you know that one's right. And then the last one, it looks like they want me to do an exact triangle. Well, what is my degree? If I'm coming straight down here, how much is left of my, what angle is this? If it was 120 to this, how much is left to go to 180? 60. So my 60 is across from my 60 is my square root of 3, and this is my 1 and 2. So to do your cosine, you have your 1 over 2, and it's negative. And sine is square root of 3 over 2, and that's positive. Mrs. Villarreal? Yep. All right, bye. Anna?
Yeah.
To sign out?
Yeah.
Yep. Question about 4. So that also is the right answer. So A, B, and C are right.
Oh my goodness.
12. Number 12, cosine x, where we're going from negative 9, so we're going from negative 90 to 270. So remember that cosine and sine both go in increments of how much? 90. Because remember, from when you're doing your unit circle, they're in increments of 90. So this right here is going to be my negative 90. So I have 0. Then I have 90. Then what's my next increment?
180.
180. And my last increment is?
270.
270. Now all you have to do is this degrees or radians? Degrees. So you go and make sure your mode is in degrees. And mine is, so I'm going to quit out of there. So I'm just going to go cosine of negative 90. And I get 0. This is 0, remember, so I'm going to do cosine of 0. And it's 1. Cosine of 90. 0. Cosine of 180 is negative 1. Cos of 270. And it's 0. And then all I have to do is make sure I round it as I'm going. In my cosine of negative 90. Cosine, and what degree is this? 0. Then cosine of 90, cosine of, and yep. And make sure it's in degrees or radians. Degrees. Because this is 90 is degrees. Yep.
Okay, so how do you know that, like I understand like how you got like the points and stuff. I understand how you knew like use that graph. You know what I mean? Okay. What?
Okay, first of all, x and y axes.
Yeah.
Do you understand where I get the negative 90 from?
Yeah.
Okay, all I did was put cosine of negative 90,
Okay.
and it gives me 0.
So when you have a problem like that, you just automatically use the graph and just like use the points like negative 90, 0, 90, 180?
You have to. Yep,
Okay.
whatever's in, whatever, because they told me from negative 90 to 270, and I know that from the unit circle, it's always in increments of 90. So I always know that I have to do increments of 90, and they told me what to do it in. Yep. 8. Number 8. Number 8. It says find cosine of 210 exactly. So we have cosine of 210. So the first thing we have to do is figure out where 210 is. So from here to here is 180. To here is 270, so that's too much. So 210 is here. You have to drop this line to the what? To make your right angle, you have to go to your x-axis. That's where you get your right triangle from. Now, I need to know how much is this angle right there. So from here to here was 180. From here all the way to there was 210. So how can I figure out this? From here to here was how much? And from here to there is 210. So you have to subtract 180. Yeah, so 210 minus 180 gives me 30. Across from my 30 is my 1. Adjacent to my 30 is the square root of 3, hypotenuse of 2. My x and my y's in quadrant 3, are they positive or negative? Negative. So we don't forget, we might as well make them negative, because this is negative and that's negative, so you might as well make those negative. How do I find cosine? Adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent to this is the square root of 3, so I have negative square root of 3 over hypotenuse of 2. Hypotenuse is never negative, just the x and y's, so just 2. That was number 8. Any other ones? We're good then? And progress self-test? Yeah, progress self-test, there's only 20. That was yesterday's assignment. So progress self-test, you have 20, and then today you choose 20 of your own problems, whether it be 20 from the your chapter review odds, or if you go and you redo the review sheet. But you have to turn in 3 things tomorrow. Yes? Number 9. A period, remember, is you have to look and see the pattern. That's the first thing. So if I'm looking for the pattern, and hopefully you notice a pattern goes up, down, down, up, then it goes up, down, down, up. So how long does it take from the start of the pattern to finish one cycle of the pattern? So 360. Yep. So it would be 360. Yes.
I have a question on 18 and 19. Like, I think I know how to do them, but I'm not sure. For 18, since that equals 180, we just do 180 over 3 to get 60 degrees.
Yes.
Okay. And then for 19, we just do 7 times 180 divided by 6.
7 times 180 divided by 6 will give you your degrees, but then you have to do, this one is where you have to do your exact value. So you're gonna have to find what quadrants it's in, and then do your exact, because this says sine, this one says convert. So this one you're just converting to degrees. On 19 you're taking sine and you're having to do this.
Okay, so then you would just do the 7 times 180 divided by 6 and find it on there, and then find like
The sine of that, of the degree. Yep.
Can we do number
13. All right, 13. We have a triangle here. and this is my x. So I cannot use law of sines because I do not have enough information, so I have to use law of cosines. So I have c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos of c, where this is my angle. So what is, the first thing you would have to do really is figure out what c is. A and b doesn't matter. So what is big C? 40. And so little c is x. So I'm going to go x squared, and then a and b, bless you, a and b doesn't matter. So I'm going to go equals 85 squared plus 110 squared minus 2 times 85 times my 110 cos of my 40 degrees. Then you throw this all into your calculator.
Even the 40.
Yep. So I'm going 85 squared plus so you have 85 squared plus my 110 squared minus 2 times my 85 times 110 times my cosine of 40. Gives me x squared is equal to 4999.9. I should have just rounded it, but it's alright. Then, how do I solve for your x? Square root it. So I'm going to square root the answer. And x is 70.7. Yep, and that would be m. Questions on 13. All right, on 17, what they have is they are they have here, you have a right triangle. This one is, this is 70, this is 130. The eagle, you have to remember, is 2 feet at the end, and the sine is 6. So you have to add 8 feet to the answer, because you're just going to be finding right here, and then you have to add this because the eagle is looking at it. So we're finding x right there. So we have opposite and we have hypotenuse. So what is opposite and hypotenuse? It's sine, right? So sine of 70 is equal to opposite over my hypotenuse. Now what do I have to do? Multiply by 130. So I have 130 sine of 70. X is 122. But then the sine is 6 and the eagle is 2, so you have to add 8. So the answer is 130, and that's what it is. Yep. Yes.
Alright, so on 14, yeah, okay. Is it
14 is a good one actually to do because this is on the test, and this is one that I believe a lot of people will struggle on. Just for algebra, that's all. Hopefully you're using your cosine, right? So you have c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos of c. And did you put x here? For,
I did.
okay, but you put x here is right. And what do you put for little c?
You put 8 and I put
8.
11.
Yep, so that's 8. Because it's always across. So you have 8 squared is equal to, and then 11 and 5 are your a's and b's. So 5 squared plus 11 squared minus 2, 5, 11 cos of x. Now, from here, what can we do algebraically?
Do all of the exponents.
So, okay, so I can do the exponent. So I have 64 is equal to 25 plus 121. And is it okay if I multiply these?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 110 cos of x. Now, algebraically, what can I do?
You add the 25 and the 121, you get 146, and you subtract the 146 and 64.
Very good. And as long as you remember that that's what your neck on that, you will do just fine on it. So you subtract the 146. So I have 64 minus my 146 gives me a negative 82 is equal to negative 110 cos of x.
Divide by 110, or negative 110.
Divide by negative 110. So cos x is equal to 0.74, and take the inverse of my answer. Cos inverse of the answer gives me a 42. Yep. What's the answer for this 15? 2.3. Any others? Is it not in the back? Oh. All right. Any others? Yep. 20. All right. Which of the following statements is not true? So how could I do that? So if I were you, like on A, if at this point, if you don't know which one's not, what could you do to find out what it is? So first thing I would do is I would choose maybe 30 degrees. And it doesn't matter if it equals, that means it's always going to. So I would go in my calculator on number 20, I'm doing mode and it's in degrees, so I'm good. So I'm going to go sine of 90 minus 30. And 30 I just chose. You can choose any angle. If you wanted to choose 10, 15, whatever. I just chose 30. And that gives me 0.866. And then I'll do cosine of 30 just to see if that's true. And it is, because by property we knew that if cosine and sine equal each other, these two angles have to add up to 90. Then try this one, cosine of 690. That gives me 0.866. Well, they say it's 0.5, so which one's not true is that one. But you could continue on if you wanted to. And you could put in 30 for C, and you're going to get 1. And then if you do D, you have to make sure you put it in radians, because pi is radians, or convert it. So you have sine of your negative 180 divided by 2 is negative 1. So B is the answer. Other ones? All right.